UFC Fight Night Kattar versus Chikadze full card prediction. We have 15 fights for the first card of 2022. As of right now, it is December 24th, the day before Christmas, also known as Christmas Eve, but I do not care. We're going to be posting our full card prediction right now because, it's way too long to go without making predictions, without researching fights, without even watching fights. It's way too long. It's like, 2, 3, maybe even a 4-week stretch of no MMA fights. And I'm just not down for that. That is just way too long. So we're going to get into our predictions right here. We got Kattar Chikadze in the main event in the featherweight division. 5 rounds. If you look at the UFC rankings, this is going to be the number 5 versus a number 8 guy. We got Katlyn Chookagian and Jennifer Maia, 2 top 5 women's flyweights. We got Joaquin Buckley, Abdul Razak Al Hassan, both with 4 losses. And both guys with crazy finishing abilities. That one will be fireworks no matter what. We got Michel Pereira, who is always a fireworks, fighting Muslim Salikov. 2 guys right outside of the top 15. Muslim Salikov is barely inside the top 15, but of course, Michel Pereira is just right outside knocking on the doors. We got Kleydson Rodrigues from Dana White's Contender Series coming in to fight Zaruk Adashev, who I believe is like 1-2 in the UFC, losing to Sumo Derji, losing to Tyson Nam by knockout, and then barely beating Ryan Bonoit with those crazy leg kicks. He's going to be fighting a crazy Kleydson Rodrigues. We got another Dana White's Contender Series guy in Joanderson. Brito going to be fighting Bill Algeo. We got Rogério Bontorin and Brandon Royval. 2 guys kind of in the mix of that flyweight division. Rogério has usually been a bantamweight guy moving down to the flyweight division, if I'm getting that correctly. His last fight was Matt Schnell. He had a couple fights in bantamweight, a couple fights in flyweight. I don't know which division he's really going to kind of stick to, but now he's going to fight the number 7 guy on Tapology. On the UFC ranking, He's at number 5, wow, in the flyweight division. Very interesting. We also got another fight right here in the bantamweight with Brian Kelleher, 23-12, a veteran of the game, fighting Saidyokub Kakhramonov. Very good fight there. Veteran versus kind of rookie in the UFC, and Ramiz Brahimaj versus Court McGee. And we got so many more fights. 15 fights on the entire fight card is already absolutely insane. We got a snooze fest of Chase Sherman versus Jay Collier. We got Slava Borshchev right there, or also known as Vyacheslav Borshchev, going to be fighting Dakota Bush at lightweight. Silvana Gómez Juárez and Vanessa Demopoulos at women's strawweight. Gabriel Benítez or Mowgli going to be fighting TJ Brown at featherweight. Henry Barcelos at bantamweight, and a Holmes, a Pickett at middleweights. That is a lot of fights right there. 15 fights open up the year very strong. A lot of fights I can definitely see being bangers. The main event, Kattar versus Chikadze, is going to be a banger no matter what. One of the best boxers in the UFC featherweight division versus one of the best kickboxers in the UFC featherweight division. Probably the best kickboxer in the featherweight division right there. We got top 5 flyweights. We got bangers in middleweight and in welterweight. 2 really solid guys in the flyweight division. Kleydson always puts on exciting fights. We got Brandon Royval, who always puts on exciting fights. We got Slava. We got Raoni Barcelos. It's going to be a solid fight card to start off 2022 very well. So, with all that being said, we got some crazy fights to get into. Couple fights have been canceled. Kyle Barajo, Jamie Pickett is now Jamie Pickett, Joseph Holmes. We have Vanessa Demopoulos. Ashley Yoder is now Vanessa Demopoulos. Silvana Gómez Juárez. But, yeah, these are the fights we are going to be doing predictions for right here. And we are going to be doing a lot of bets for the fights right there. We do have the betting odds that haven't been released very recently. But we are going to be doing some bets on here. So if you guys want to become a member to the channel, look up my channel on the Safari web thing on the desktop mode and become a member for $3 a month to see all of my MMA bets. But with all of that being said, let's get in the first fight right here in the middleweight division. division, Jamie Pickett and Joseph Holmes in the middleweight division. Jamie Pickett, not doing too good in the UFC or really on Dana White's Contender Series, losing on his first stint on the Contender Series by first round submission, on the second stint by unanimous decision, then getting a second round knockout win over Jonathan Potty on his third fight on the Contender Series, then joining the UFC, losing to some decent opponents, Tafon Chukwi by unanimous decision, and then getting starched by Jordan Wright in the very first round, where after that getting a very, very close decision win on Loreno Staropoli. Not really too much action from either guy in that fight. The betting odds for this one, -135 and +115. It is a short notice fight. Originally, Jamie Pickett was supposed to fight in 2021, then he was supposed to fight Kyle Baralho on this fight card. Now he's going to fight Joseph Holmes, and Joseph Holmes, ugly man Joseph Holmes, is definitely the real deal. 7 wins, 1 loss. First round knockout win over Jonathan Potty, another guy that Jamie Pickett has beaten as well. Got his second round submission win on Shante Barnes, second round submission win, first round submission win, first round knockout, and then his second round submission. Every single win has been a finish in his MMA career and inside of Contender Series as well. I expect this one to probably be a finish as well. Jamie Pickett got starched pretty badly against Jordan Wright. Jordan Wright really isn't the top tier middleweight type of fighter. And if he's getting starched that fast by Jordan Wright, I don't know. I believe Joseph Holmes is going to go out there with the wrestling advantage, with the grappling advantage. He showed that, especially in his fight on Dana White's Contender Series, on Shante Barnes, and in pretty much every other fight outside of the UFC as well. So I believe the grappling and wrestling does go Joseph Holmes. If he wants to, can literally go out there, pressure Jamie Pickett to the back of the cage, throw a knee in there, take him down, and just submit him or something like that. That would be the path to least resistance from Joseph Holmes. But they both have very good kicks. They both have very good boxing. Joseph is the far younger guy by about 7 years right there. A little bit taller and the exact same reach. So the striking, I would say, is going to be very 50-50. Joseph Holmes, Jamie Pickett on the feet. They have really good body kicks, really good leg kicks, pretty good jabs, good 1-2s. The striking, I would say, is going to be very 50-50, but that grappling is going to go Joseph Holmes, and for that reason, I'm going to go Joseph Holmes by a submission. I believe we're going to see a little bit of a technical striking battle on the feet. Joseph Holmes just looking to kind of stay in range for a little bit, kind of time the shots, and then eventually he'll time the shots to throw something big on the feet, go down for that double leg takedown, get on top of Jamie Pickett, and just ground a pound until he finds that submission. So my prediction right here for Jamie Pickett and Joseph Holmes, it's going to be Joseph Holmes by a submission. Really good fight in the middleweight division right there. Raoni Barcelos and Victor Henry in the bantamweight division. This fight has been rescheduled. Originally, it was supposed to happen in 2021 on the December 18th fight card. I'm not really too sure what happened, but it did say canceled due to COVID protocol. So one of these guys got COVID, or one of the person or people in their corner got COVID, something like that. But it wasn't an injury or anything like that. The one thing I want to look at is going to be the age. They're literally almost the exact same age, if not for 3 days apart. Raoni Barcelos is literally 3 days older than Victor Henry. Absolutely insane. But Raoni Barcelos' record is crazy. Only losing to Mark Dickman by second round submission, 8-1 in his MMA career. Then his other loss to Timur Valiev in a very, very close fight by a majority decision right there. Before that, beating very, very good fighters like Carlos Watson, Chris Gutierrez, Kurt Holloway, I'm not sure how to say that one, Dan Moret, Bobby Maffei, Khalid Taha, Said Nurmagomedov, very, very solid opponents inside and outside of the UFC. Only losing to very, very legit guys. He's got really good striking, a lot faster than Victor Henry. He's a lot more powerful than Victor Henry. The grappling, it's tough to decide because there's not too much film out there on Victor Henry. From the stuff I was able to find from Victor Henry, he's got solid grappling, but I don't know if it's going to be better than Raoni Barcelos. It's very hard to see who's going to have the advantage in that wrestling and grappling game. So for now, because of the time that I don't really know how good of Victor Henry, his grappling is going to be, all the film that I have watched, it's very, very hard to pinpoint who's going to have the advantage in that part part of the game, but I don't know if he's even going to be able to take down Raoni. Raoni is a very underrated wrestler and grappler. More recently, he's been showing his really good striking, his really good speed, his really good power, and not really too much of the grappling and wrestling. But overall, I think it's going to be very even in that facet of the game, and this fight is mainly going to stay on the feet. I don't think Raoni is going to finish Victor Henry. Henry with 21 wins and 5 losses. I don't know the last time he's been finished. I mean, split decision loss, split decision loss, and then a decision loss. He's never been knocked out, never been submitted. So with that being said, I'm definitely going to go Raoni Barcelos to win the fight by a decision right there. He's more powerful. He's a lot faster of a striker, a lot more dynamic, has the kicks, has way better boxing, and overall, the grappling and wrestling I don't think is going to play too much of a factor for either guy right here. So I expect the fight to stay on the feet for 3 rounds, and I expect Raoni to control the range and get inside and pick up his shots really well, outbox, out-kickbox, out-clinch. Out-wrestle, I don't really know about that part, but I do think Raoni Barcelos should win the fight by unanimous decision right there. Very good fight in the bantamweight division. Gabriel Benítez and TJ Brown in the featherweight division. 2 veterans, I would say, in the featherweight division. 22-9 and then 15-8. 5'9" inches tall with a 73.5-inch reach. Yeah, he's going to have the height. Yeah, he's going to have the reach. That's not going to matter. Gabriel Benítez is going to have the striking advantage, and TJ Brown will have the wrestling advantage. This fight really is going to come down to, will TJ Brown go for the takedown? If TJ Brown does not go for the takedown, does not land the takedown, does not even implement a wrestling or grappling game plan, TJ Brown's going to lose the fight. Gabriel Benítez has the best leg kicks in the featherweight division, in my opinion. Maybe you got like Chikadze out there. Maybe he could be known as the better leg kicker, maybe. But Gabriel Benítez's leg kicks are just absolutely insane. Only losing to pretty much ranked opponents or undefeated guys. Billy Quarantillo is right outside being a ranked opponent. So DQ Suf is a ranked opponent. Andre Filio was a ranked opponent. Enrique Barzola is not necessarily a ranked opponent. Omar Morales, an undefeated fighter. And then some guys outside the UFC. So maybe what I said was a little bit off right there, but his striking is very legit. I mean, knocking out Justin James with the knee to the body, landing some crazy kicks in pretty much every single fight out there. His leg kicks are amazing. His body kicks are amazing. His boxing is amazing. He's going to absolutely destroy TJ Brown on the feet. But he's going to destroy him on the feet. Will he destroy him on the ground? I do not think so. TJ Brown is known to have decent wrestling, decent grappling. He is coached by James Krause, who continuously tells him, go out there, look for the takedown, look to wrestle, look to grapple. But he does not do it. Every single time out there, he just keeps on striking. Got a very lucky split decision win on Kai Kamaka III in his last fight. Before that, losing to Danny Chavez and Jordan Griffin. Those 2 fights, a guillotine choke submission loss, and then Danny Chavez, in a fight, he did not go for the takedown. He needs to go for the takedown on Gabriel Benítez, and I don't see him doing it. I mean, even if he does go for the takedown, Gabriel Benítez's takedown defense is honestly very solid. So I see the fight staying on the feet for 3 rounds. TJ Brown's a pretty tough guy. I don't know if he's been finished by knockout. 1 knockout loss. 2 knockout losses, 3 knockout losses. Those ones were way back in 2015 and 2013. The only 1 knockout loss recently, 13 and 16. I may be wrong. I don't know. It's either going to be a knockout or a decision. I'm not too confident in just saying outright a decision or saying outright it's going to be a knockout, because he did get knocked out 3 years ago by a 13 and 16 opponent in Cody Carrillo. So you can't be too confident that he's not going to get knocked out. So I'm going to go with knockout. I think he's going to really attack the legs. I mean, if he's getting knocked out by a 13-6 guy, now he's fighting one of the best kickers in Gabriel Benítez right here. He's going to attack that leg early, and he's going to finish him in the 2nd or 3rd round. A really good fight in the featherweight division. Vanessa Demopoulos and Silvana Gómez Juárez in the women's strawweight division. 6 wins, 4 losses, and 10 wins and 3 losses. Both girls just recently joined the UFC. on short notice fights. Her and Vanessa Demopoulos fighting JJ Aldrich, losing by unanimous decision. Silvana Gómez Juárez stepping in on short notice, fighting Lupita Benítez and getting starched in the first round by arm bar submission. She's 37 years old and Vanessa is 33 years old. Overall, this fight is going to come down to where the fight takes place. In the grappling and in the wrestling, I would say Vanessa Demopoulos is going to have the advantage. In terms of the clinching, I would say Vanessa Demopoulos does have the advantage, because if she can get your back to the cage and just start throwing haymakers, throwing bombs, landing some knees down the middle, some kicks, that is where Vanessa Demopoulos is a very, very dangerous opponent. Silvana Gómez Juárez, her path to victory here is really going to be in the counterpunching game. She showed off some decent counterpunching, a decent jab, a good 1-2, a good counter left hook on Lupita Benítez, but that's really all she really was able to show in the fight, as she got taken down fairly easily. The way Lupita got the takedown was pressuring Juárez to the back of the cage, throwing really big shots, and just going down for that double leg takedown. That is what Vanessa Demopoulos can definitely do right here. Vanessa is going to be the better wrestler, is going to be the better grappler, and is going to be the more powerful striker, knocking out Cynthia Arcio in her second to last fight. And she's got the submission there as well. 4th round submission on Sam Hughes, and a 1st round submission win on Nadina Mandio right there. So she's a very legit opponent. Both of them are very solid, but the loser of this one is probably going to get cut from the UFC, if I am going to be quite honest with you. And I think that one is going to be Silvana Gómez Juárez. I believe Vanessa has a better wrestling, has a better grappling, is going to pressure Silvana to the back of the cage, take her down, and dominate her for 3 straight rounds. 30-27 decision win for Vanessa Demopoulos. Really good fight in the women's strawweight division. Dakota Bush and Vyacheslav Borshchev, or Slava Borshchev, in the lightweight division. Slava Claus with 5 wins and 1 loss in the prime of his MMA career at 30 years old. As of 1 week ago, he's going to be a little bit taller, but not as much in the reach department right there. Fighting out of Team Alpha Male with some really legit opponents over there, like Uriah Faber, like Joseph Benavidez, like Lance Palmer, like Andre Fili, Leon Paiva, Chad Mendes, Yedong Song, Josh Emmett, Ricardo Ramos. I mean, so many really good training partners out there. Cody Garbrandt, Ricky Turcios. I mean, he has so many guys out there that he can just train with all day. That is why his striking is so good, because he's able to train with those legit opponents inside the UFC. A lot of those guys have been ranked, have been former champions, have been in the top 5, in the top 10, and his striking is showing from training with all those guys. But Slava Borshchev, or Vyacheslav Borshchev, 5 wins and 1 loss. Out of those wins, a lot of them have been knockouts. Sekiro knockout win on Chris Duncan, Sekiro knockout win on Kendi St. Louis, 1st round knockout win on Corey Delaney, decision win on Ali Zabian, and then a 1st round knockout win on David Marquez, and then only 1 split decision loss on William Starks. If you watch that fight, it's pretty obvious Vyacheslav Borshchev did win the fight. He should be a 6-1 defeated guy. Dakota Bush, I wouldn't say has a path to victory here. His grappling and wrestling is decent. Nothing to really write home about. He's not really the best wrestler, not really the best grappler. So I don't really see him going out there just dominating Vyacheslav in the grappling or wrestling. Of course, on the feet, Slava is going to absolutely destroy him. So, of course, Dakota needs to go out there and wrestle and grapple, but I mean, Slava's takedown defense is very solid, and he's going to have that striking. So I think, just as a lot of people are saying right here, I think it's going to be Slava train all day long. Slava Claus for Christmas. Tomorrow's Christmas, and in January 15th is going to be Christmas for Slava Claus Vyacheslav Borshchev. I think he goes out there and gets a knockout in the 2nd round. His kicks are absolutely amazing. That knockout against Chris Duncan, an undefeated fighter in the lightweight division, was absolutely insane. If he can knock out a very tough guy in Chris Duncan, I believe he can definitely knock out a guy like Dakota Bush, who I don't think has been knocked out before, but he's fighting the Slava train, Slava Borshchev. So I'm going to go Slava Vyacheslav Borshchev to win the fight by knockout in the 2nd round. Really good fight in the lightweight division. Chase Sherman and Jake Collier in the heavyweight division. 32 years old, 33 years old, similar heights and similar reaches right there. Overall, not a fight I really want to bet on. I mean, they're both big heavyweights. I believe both of them have to cut to make weight. But Chase Sherman, 15 wins, 8 losses. Very, I would say, I don't know the words I'm trying to get out to you right now, but he's very inconsistent is the word I'm trying to remember. I mean, in his first end of the UFC, he got a decision loss to Justin Lede, knockout loss on Walt Harris, beating guys that are not in the UFC in Rajat Coulter and Damon Grabowski, then going on a 3-fight losing streak, getting knocked out by Jamil Abdurrahimov, losing a decision to Justin Willis, losing a knockout to Augusto Sakai, beating some horrible guys, and Frank Tate and Jeremy May, then beating Rashawn Jackson, joining the UFC, beating Ike Villanueva, not really a fight you want to be too happy about right there, then losing decisions to Parker Porter, and then Andre Arlovski. Now he's in to fight Jake Collier, who again is not a very consistent guy as well, usually wins one, loses one, and that has been the case inside the UFC, losing Vitor Miranda, beating Ricardo Abreu, losing to Dongyi Yang, beating Alberto Ura, losing to Devin Clark, beating Marcel Fortuna, losing to Tom Aspinall, beating John Vellante, and then losing to Carlos Felipe. So does that mean he's going to come back with another win? I do not know, but the betting odds, I think they have Jake winning the fight. Yeah, Jake Collier is a very, very slight favorite. He was the underdog at the beginning of those betting odds, but with a fight like this, you cannot be too confident either way. If I'm going to pick Jake Collier, it's going to be a split decision, 29-28. If I'm going to pick Chase Sherman, it's going to be a 29-28 split decision either way. I'm going to go Jake Collier. I believe he's going to have a slightly more volume right there. He lands, I wouldn't say the harder shots, but if you look at Chase Sherman and the way he eats the shots, it's definitely going to look like Jake Collier is going to be landing the more powerful shots. With the way that Chase Sherman eats his shots, Jake Collier, I believe, is going to be landing more shots. He's going to be landing a little bit more effective shots in the amount of damage they're going to do, because Chase Sherman, every single fight, his face doesn't really look the same. I mean, it looks a little beat up after every single fight, and I believe Jake Collier is literally just going to come forward, pressure Chase Sherman, and land a lot of strikes. No wrestling, no grappling from either guy, split decision either way, not a fight you want to bet on, not a fight I'm going to be confident in betting on, not a fight I'm going to be confident in giving you my prediction. This is one of those where if you look at my prediction record, which is probably somewhere around 65-70%, somewhere around there, I would probably just pass on putting that on my record, because this is one of those you have no idea what's going to happen. But I'm going to go Jake Collier to win the fight by 29-28 split decision right there. Very weird fight in the heavyweight division. Ramiz Brahimaj and Court McGee in the welterweight division. If you look at the betting odds right now, I believe Ramiz is going to be the underdog. Very slightly, -105 and then the -115 favorite. He was a favorite at one point at -1. I mean, it wouldn't really be a favorite, just like a 50-50 coin toss type of fight. But overall, it is one of those coin toss type of fights. Ramiz is a very good wrestler, very good grappler, going out there, starching Sasha Balanikov by rear naked choke submission. Before that, losing at Max Griffin with that. I don't even want to say it because it might get banned on YouTube for how graphic an injury it was against Max Griffin. His ear almost fell off. I mean, it was absolutely insane. But before that, submitting Carlos Martinez, submitting William Macario, and submitting pretty much every single other guy he has faced. His grappling is amazing. His wrestling is amazing. But so is Court McGee's. Court McGee going out there dominating, and I mean dominating Claudio Silva by a unanimous decision, beating Alex Garcia, Dominic Steele, Marcio Alexander Jr., but also losing to Carlos Conde, Diego Lima, and Sean Brady. Overall, if he was losing to Diego Lima right there, I don't know how confident I can be with a guy like Court McGee. He's also 37 years old, whereas Ramiz Brahimaj is in the prime of his MMA career. I know Court McGee showed amazing wrestling and grappling, dominated Claudio Silva to that unanimous decision, but Ramiz is a new wave of wrestling and grappling at welterweight. He's a lot younger, a lot fresher, hasn't taken as much damage as Court McGee, and in those early rounds, Ramiz really pushes that pace. His wrestling and grappling, he really goes for that submission early on in that fight, because I don't think he has one win that has gone past the second round. I think this one will go past the second round. I do have Ramiz Brahimaj winning the fight by a 30-27 decision, but I think those early rounds are really going to be crucial to Ramiz Brahimaj winning, because in this fight, if he can get McGee down, just searching for those submissions, just trying to control the fight in the early rounds, he will be able to tire McGee out for those later rounds and win the third round as well. So it's an interesting fight. The new versus the old right there. 37 versus 29 years old. 20-10 versus 9-3. But I'm gonna go with the new and Ramiz Brahimaj. The wrestling is very, very even, but the grappling does go Ramiz Brahimaj. The striking, which we haven't really talked about in the video, it's so even. It's very even. Neither guy's really known for their striking. We saw Ramiz get pretty much pieced up in the Max Griffin fight, but Max Griffin is a very, very solid striker. In the McGee, we saw him get outstruck by Carlos Condit as well. So it's a weird fight. I don't know who's going to win in the striking. I don't know who's going to win in the grappling, but I have a slight edge going Ramiz Brahimaj right there. So I'm going to go Ramiz winning the fight by unanimous decision. I mean, 50-50 exactly on those tabloid predictions as well on the betting odds right there. So really good fight in the welterweight division. Brian Kelleher and Saidyokub Kakhramonov in the bantamweight division. I'm gonna say it again, just like the last fight with Ramiz Brahimaj and McGee. This is the new versus the old. 35 years old versus 26 years old. Nearly a 9-year difference from Kakhramonov to Kelleher. Also, he's gonna be 2 inches taller and have a 5-inch reach advantage. I believe Saidyokub is going to have the advantage wherever this fight goes. On the feet, Saidyokub will have the advantage. Brian's boxing is pretty solid, but Saidyokub Kakhramonov is going to get the fight to the clinch. Got really good knees, really good elbows, got solid power in his hands, has a height advantage, has the reach advantage, and overall, in my opinion, will be having the striking advantage over Brian Kelleher right there. Now, the grappling and wrestling, you never know. Brian just got off a fight against Demopoulos and the fight with Ray Rodrigues, where he just absolutely starched Ray Rodrigues and dominated Demopoulos in the wrestling and grappling. His wrestling and grappling is very, very legit. A lot of guillotines in his UFC and outside the UFC career. He's not going to land that on Saidyokub. Saidyokub's only losses have come by flying knee against Pipe Vargas and against Umar Nurmagomedov, an absolute beast over than the PFL. But overall, this fight, again, new versus young, Saidyokub being the better striker, the better clinch fighter. Honestly, he's going to be the better grappler, as he is going to be the bigger opponent, I believe. He's going to have the better wrestling. The only thing I can really say where Brian Kelleher has a chance to win would be that very, very good guillotine. That is why Saidyokub probably is going to be needing to go for a couple more single legs, maybe a judo throw, something like that, or just make it a striking fight, because you definitely don't want to put yourself in harm's way going for that, because the guillotine of Brian Kelleher, you never know with that. So I would probably just strike with Brian Kelleher for 3 straight rounds, where I do think Kakhramonov will have the advantage. So overall, with that being said, I will be going Saidyokub Kakhramonov winning that fight by 29-28 decision. Really good fight in the bantamweight division right there. Brandon Royval and Rogério Bontorin in the flyweight division. 12 wins and 6 losses, losing to the champion in Brandon Moreno by a shoulder injury. So it really wasn't an actual loss. I mean, he got injured in the fight. That was the reason he lost. And then after that, he lost to Alexandre Pantoja by rear naked choke submission. And he looked very good in that fight. I mean, he showed very, very solid striking. So some very good scrambles. Some really good grappling was shown in there as well. Before that, submitting Kakhramonov France, submitting Tim Elliott, submitting Nate Williams, submitting Joby Sanchez. I mean, he's looked very, very good inside the UFC. Only losing to champions and top 5 of flyweights right there. Now he's going to fight Rogério Bontorin, who I don't know if is he even ranked inside the UFC as of right now. Rogério is at number 7 in the flyweight division, coming off a loss, I believe, to Kakhramonov France by a knockout in his last fight. No, that knockout fight, then he beat Mashinal by unanimous decision about 2 months later. But overall, this fight is really going to come down to, will will Rogério Bontorin go out there with a wrestling game plan? Will he go out there with a striking game plan? If he goes out there with a wrestling game plan, he could grind out a decision and just hold the Brandon Royval, a little bit of ground and pound and win the decision. But that could be a downfall to his game, as Brandon Royval could snatch a guillotine, could snatch a triangle, could snatch an armbar, something like that. So in that facet of the game, I don't know. It's a very unpredictable facet of the game. If Rogério Bontorin goes out there and tries to wrestle and grapple on the feet, Brandon Royval is the more active fighter, throws a little bit more volume. He's 4 inches taller, has a 3.5 inch reach advantage, and overall, I think would have a very, very slight advantage on the feet. It's very, very slight. I mean, Rogério is the more powerful guy. He's going to be pressuring Brandon Royval, but Brandon will land more volume on the feet, and that is why I'm going to go Brandon Royval to win. I believe he has the advantage in the striking very, very slightly. If he stayed on the feet for 3 straight rounds, I will go Royval 29-28 decision, and if it goes to the ground, I'm going to say Brandon Royval could snatch off the neck of Rogério Bontorin and land that submission. So either way, Brandon Royval by submission, guillotine, triangle, armbar, something like that. Or we see him just outstrike, outpoint strike, out volume Rogério Bontorin in the striking exchanges and win the fight by decision. A very good fight in the flyweight division. I'm going to go for Brandon Royval. Really good fight right there. Joanderson, Brito, and Bill Algeo in the featherweight division. 26, almost 27 years old, a lot smaller, a little bit less in reach, and then Bill Algeo with 14 wins and 6 losses, a lot older, a lot more experience against a much, much better competition, fighting Ricardo Ramos, fighting Ricardo Lamas, a lot of Ricardos right there, fighting Spike Carlil, fighting inside the CFFC as well, beating John DeJesus, Tim Dooling, veteran and Scott Heckman right there, fighting Jared Gordon, who is in the UFC, fighting Jeff Lentz, Shane Burgos, fighting, it's not the best opponent right there, but overall, he's got some really solid experience inside and outside of the UFC. The striking advantage goes Bill Algeo. He's going to have the height, he's going to have the reach, he's going to have the volume, he's going to have the power. All the striking goes Bill Algeo. Then we go into the grappling and wrestling, and all the wrestling, all of the grappling, all the clinching goes to Joanderson Brito. And maybe Joanderson Brito could have some success in the striking if he goes out there and pressures Bill Algeo, because he can mix in the takedowns while he's pressuring. Just throw some really big shots and go down for the double. We know how strong Joanderson Brito is. I mean, he showed it in that fight on Dana White's Contender Series, picking up, slamming Diego Lopez many, many times in that fight, showing some very good strength, showing some really good wrestling, and showing some really good grappling. So it's one of those fights, if it stays on the feet, Algeo 30-27 decision. If it goes to the ground, Anderson Brito 30-27 unanimous decision. So it is one of those fights. Either way, I do see it being a decision. They're both very, very tough. If Algeo didn't get finished by Ricardo Ramos, by Ricardo Lamas, and by Brendan Loughnane, he's not going to get finished in this fight. So the fight will go all the way, in my opinion. The betting odds I probably would expect to be very 50-50. Minus 125 and then plus 105 right there. So it's a very, very 50-50 fight. If I had to put betting odds on it, it would be minus 110 or minus 110. It's very, very tough. I'm going to go Joanderson Brito. It's not one I'm going to be super confident in, because I don't know if Algeo in his camp right now is just really working on the takedown defense. And I don't know how good the takedown defense is. He hasn't fought an all-around wrestler and grappler guy like Joanderson Brito, so I don't know how well the takedown defense is going to be. So we shall see. It's going to be a very 50-50 fight. Whoever wins, I believe, will dominate their fight, but I don't know, will Bill Algeo defend the takedown? I don't think he will. I believe Joanderson Brito will land the takedown and will win the fight by decision right there. Really good fight in the featherweight division. Kleydson Rodrigues and Zaruk Adeshev in the flyweight division. One of my most confident picks on the card is going to be Kleydson Rodrigues. If you look at all of the other fights right there, he is actually going to be the biggest favorite on the card at minus 250. And of course, that is not the reason why he's my most confident pick. The reason why he's my most confident pick is how Zaruk Adeshev just has a horrible chin. Losing to Suma there, getting clipped many, many times in that fight. and getting knocked out by Tyson and barely beating Ryan Benoit, who just got cut from the UFC. And those are his only fights. The two losses to Tyson Nam and Sumoderji, and then barely beating a non-UFC fighter in Ryan Benoit. So it's a very interesting one. I'm definitely very confident in Kleydson. He's 1 inch taller, has a 2-inch height advantage, or 2-inch reach advantage right there. He's got way better striking. The kickboxing, they both have very good kickboxing, but Kleydson is all around the more fast, much faster striker, the more powerful striker, the more elusive striker. Honestly, he's going to have the better wrestling and grappling, as I did see on his regional fights, getting a rear naked choke submission on Eduardo Henrique da Silva right there as well. So his grappling could come in handy just in case Rukadashev goes out there and just attacks the legs of Kleydson Rodrigues like he did against Ryan Benoit in the last fight. But overall, I got Kleydson Rodrigues winning. He should go out there, mix in the takedowns every now and then, but overall the striking should be enough to win the fight on Rukadashev. He's gonna probably clip Zaruk many times in the fight, but I do see the fight going all the way. I see Kleydson going out there, putting on a masterclass, showing his speed, showing his technique, and overall winning the fight by 30-27 decision. Really good fight in the flyweight division. Michel Pereira and Muslim Salikov in the welterweight division. 26 wins and 11 losses for the 28-year-old phenom, I would say. I mean, the dude's just absolutely crazy. I mean, out of all of those wins, they are all crazy wins. 10 knockouts, 6 submissions, and 8 decisions. Out of the losses, only one of them has been a knockout, only one has been a submission, and that is why I'm pretty confident this fight will go all the way. Only one loss is going to be a knockout loss, and I don't expect Muslim to be going out there catching a submission anytime soon. The only way Muslim has lost has been a submission, and Michel Pereira is not going to submit Muslim. So this fight will go all the way in my opinion. Either way, Muslim Salikov is the more powerful guy, throws a little bit more volume, has way better boxing than Michel Pereira. But Michel, you have no idea what the man is going to do. He throws spinning kicks, throws flying knees, throws axe kicks. I mean, there's the crazy things that Michel Pereira throws in his fights is just absolutely insane. So, you never know. I mean, Michel Pereira could go out there and land some crazy kick and knock out Muslim Salikov in the very first round. It could happen. It's definitely possible. But I do think Muslim, being the more powerful guy, being just the overall better striker right there. Of course, Michel Pereira has the crazy factor that could get him the win. Overall, Muslim Salikov should go out there, come forward, put on the pressure box Michel Pereira, and then mix in the takedown. His wrestling and his grappling is better than Michel Pereira. So if the striking is very even, if the rounds are going to be very even, the amount of strikes is like 10-11, Muslim's going to land that takedown and he's going to out-wrestle and out-grapple Michel Pereira. So overall, on the feet, I see it being very 50-50 with the craziness of Michel Pereira and the boxing of Muslim Salikov being very even, but with that great equalizer of the wrestling and grappling, that is where I will give the edge to Muslim Salikov. So overall, my prediction right there is going to be Muslim Salikov winning the fight by 29-28 decision. Really good fight in the welterweight division. Joaquin Buckley and Abdulrazak Alhassan in the middleweight division. 27 years old and then 36 years old. Same height and a little bit of a reach advantage right there for Joaquin Buckley. Both of them, if they whether they win or whether they lose, it's going to be a knockout. Joaquin Buckley, 13 wins and 4 losses. Out of the wins, 10 knockout wins and 3 decision wins. Out of the losses, 1 decision win or 1 decision loss, and then 3 knockout losses right there. So pretty much every single win and every single loss, except for a couple here and there, have been knockouts for his opponent in Abdulrazak Alhassan. 11 out of 11 wins have been knockouts, and as for losses, 1 knockout loss and 3 decision losses. That 1 knockout loss to Chaos Williams, one of the most powerful guys in the welterweight/middleweight division, but overall, one of the guys is going out, in my opinion. Abdulrazak Alhassan showing he has the kicking power, knocking out Alessio Carrico, also showing he has the knockout power in his hands, knocking out Nico Price. Joaquin showing the exact exact same thing, showing the kicks against Embakazangana and showing the hands on Jordan Wright and Antonio Arroyo. But overall, I believe the cardio is really going to be the factor. Early on in the fight, the first round, the second round, Joaquin Buckley and Abdulrazak Al-Hassan are going to be very hesitant to go inside of the power of the other guy. So I expect the early rounds not to be too high paced, but towards the later rounds, Abdulrazak Al-Hassan, even though it's not going to be that high pace of a fight, all the strikes he's throwing are very, very powerful strikes, and Joaquin, I believe, is going to have that cardio advantage, and I believe at that point in the third and final round, that is where Joaquin is really going to start to up that pace, put on the pressure, get Abdulrazak Hassan's back to the cage, and just start throwing like he did against Jordan Wright, like he did against Antonio Arroyo, and not necessarily like he did against Embakazangana, but like I think he will do against Abdulrazak Hassan. So first, second round are going to be very, very even. Maybe it'll be 1-1 going into the third, and then Joaquin Buckley puts on that pressure, throws those powerful shots. That is where I think he knocks out Abdulrazak Hassan in the third and final round. Really good fight in the middleweight division. Katlyn Chookagian and Jennifer Maia 2 in the women's flyweight division. This is going to be a rematch from not long ago. The first time they fought was back in 2019. Jennifer Maia did lose the fight by unanimous decision. After that win for Katlyn Chookagian, she fought for the belt, lost to Valentina Shevchenko, then fought another Shevchenko in Antonina, then fought a former champion in Jessica Andrade. Then she won 2 in a row, Cynthia Calvillo and Vivian Araujo, and her striking is gonna be what gets her the win. Same age, pretty much exactly the same age right there. She's way taller by 5 inches, way lengthier by 4 inches, and the exact same thing that won Katlyn Chookagian in the first fight is gonna be what wins her the fight right here as well. Her striking, I mean, she's taller, she's lengthier, she throws way more volume, and she's very good at winning decisions. I mean, inside the UFC, getting close decision wins on Vivian Araujo, Cynthia Calvillo, Antonina Shevchenko, Jennifer Maia, Joanne Calderwood. All of her wins have been decision wins, except for outside the UFC. She's very good at kind of edging out those decisions on the judges' scorecards. And in a fight right here, Jennifer Maia's only real path to victory is going to be to go out there and out-wrestle, out-grapple Katlyn Chookagian. And she really wasn't able to do that in the first fight. She got a couple of takedowns, a little bit of control time, but the takedown defense has gotten a lot better from Katlyn Chookagian in the last couple of fights. And now Katlyn Chookagian is just going to outstrike Jennifer Maia for 3 straight rounds. I believe she should definitely win the fight. Should be a good one right here. But Katlyn Chookagian by unanimous decision, 30-27 in the women's flyweight division. Calvin Kattar and Giga Chikadze in the featherweight division. 14 wins and 2 losses, pretty similar in age at 33.5 and 33 3/4. 6 foot tall, 5'11", 72-inch reach and 74-inch reach. Boxer and kickboxer. So it's one of those fights. How is the fight going to really happen? Giga Chikadze needs the fight to stay at range where he's going to have both the height and the reach advantage, and in turn he's going to have the kicking advantage. Really good leg kicks, really good Giga kicks, as we know, in the liver. Those body kicks are absolutely devastating, so we know he has the kicks at range, and the way Calvin Kattar is going to win is going to be to come forward, pressure Giga Chikadze to the back of the cage, and just start throwing those bots and combinations. Once you give Giga Chikadze the room to work and the room to land those kicks, that is where the fight's pretty much over at that point. Once you give him the room to land the kicks, the fight is over. Calvin Kattar needs to go out there, pressure Giga for 5 straight rounds, mix in a takedown every now and then, and that is how Calvin Kattar is going to win the fight. Do I think Calvin Kattar is going to win? No, I do not. Do I think the fight should be a little bit more even in terms of the betting odds? Of course I do. The fight should be a way more even fight. As of right now, -210 and then -230 right there should be way more even. Giga Chikadze was the underdog on Edson Barboza in the last fight. If he was the underdog right there, how is it going to be a 2-1 favor on Calvin Kattar? It should be a lot closer on the betting odds, in my opinion. I think I might sprinkle a little bit on Calvin Kattar just because the odds are a little bit too wide. Calvin could go out there with a wrestling and grappling game plan, could go out there with a heavy pressure on the feet and win the fight by decision. It's very likely we could see that happening. But overall, my prediction will be Giga Chikadze winning the fight by decision. But I would not be surprised if Calvin wrestles and grapples and pressures Giga Chikadze to win the fight. But overall, Giga Chikadze should keep the fight on the feet, should keep the fight at range, stay away from the pressure, stay away from those takedowns on Calvin Kattar, and win the fight by decision right there. Very good fight. In the main event, 23 days from now, Giga Chikadze and Calvin Kattar. I'm going to Giga Chikadze to win the fight by 49-46 unanimous decision. One round will go Calvin Kattar, but really good fight right there in the featherweight division. But yeah, guys, that is my full card prediction for UFC Fight Night Kattar versus Chikadze. 15 fights on the entire fight card. I got Calvin Kattar losing that fight, so I have Giga Chikadze winning that one by 49-46 decision. I got Kalen Shukagian by unanimous decision. Joaquin Buckley by third round knockout. Muslim Salikov by 29-28 decision. Kleydson Rodrigues by unanimous decision. Joanderson Brito by 29-28 decision. Brandon Royval by decision. Saidyokub Kakhramonov by decision. Ramiz Brahimaj by decision. Would not be surprised if we see a submission. Collier by decision. Vyacheslav Borshchev by... I'm going to go with knockout right there. Vanessa Demopoulos by a decision. Gabriel Benítez by knockout. Raoni Barcelos by decision. And Joseph Holmes by a submission. Those are my predictions. UFC Fight Night Kattar versus Chikadze. Put your predictions in the comment section below. Like the video, subscribe to the channel, and everything like that. And before we end the video, become a member. Go onto the desktop mode of my channel and click that join button for $3 a month to see all of my MMA bets. But that is it for the full card prediction. Kattar versus Chikadze. Put your predictions down below in the comment section. Like, subscribe, and we'll see you in the next one. Let's go.